All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the market sell-off. I guess we can call it this show this afternoon as we continue to see everything selling off. And Peter, AMD not treating you well. Well, not you personally, but
yeah. Look, I don't mind the movement. It can move wherever it wants. As we said, we're just celebrating the downfall of the market. So cheers to, Sorry about all of your long-term retirement portfolios, but the trading's good, so live it up while you can.
RIP to many financial tickers. Good afternoon, guys.
Of actually drinking alcohol live on YouTube? I don't think so.
Absolutely not. I've seen worse. If we get banned from that, there's absolutely not. All right, good afternoon. We also have Jared. Afternoon, Jared. Hope you're doing well, my friend.
It's all dead and it's all gone. All of our gains are gone. Good afternoon, everybody.
Jared.
Welcome.
Oh, yes.
You'll make it through, Jared.
We'll all have to, as traders. This is just another
remember
good old day in the market.
Wasn't it just 2 weeks ago you were telling me the bulls were dead? I told you, bulls never die, man. We go lick our wounds and we come roaring back.
Yeah. Opportunistic bears sometimes.
Yeah, the bears. We just go hibernate for a bit, heal, come back.
Absolutely. Friends over on YouTube and also in our chat, we are live in both places. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We're going to go through a couple of earnings, and obviously we've been let's take a quick look before we dive into earnings at the SPY. Again, the last couple of days just really hurting here. Today showing some signs of stress, as we can see here. We're dropping a bit, and obviously this is dragging many stocks down. So for us, day trading opportunities are amazing when the market does this, right? When the market is trending in one direction, it provides actually really good opportunities up or down. So hopefully taking advantage of the move downwards here, and can't wait to see how this looks in the next couple of days. So. Peter, before we jump in, before we continue on this, let's talk about Dell. Dell's got earnings today after hours. We're going to be looking at it live. A lot of us are looking forward to see what they do. Obviously selling off today, given everything that's happening. What we got going on with Dell and what's the situation lately?
Well, we were talking about this in the chat room just earlier, and Jared said, it's Dell, but nobody cares anymore. I would say that it's not nobody. It's just a lot less people than used to care. So Dell used to be one of the darlings of the market, right? They made devices. They started by making devices to go on your desktop, and then migrated into the heavy equipment, to the server side of it, and heavy infrastructure. And that's where they make most of their money, of course. Now I think they're got a good division between hardware and services. But it is sort of less exciting segment of the market these days, right? Like, it's not the place where people want to pay a lot of attention. They're slightly more interesting than making racks, data center server racks, but not by much nowadays. In fact, now that we've got all these blade servers, they more or less just make racks, right? They make backplanes. Ooh. But anyways, I mean, they really just put things together in a box and ship it off to you, right? But everybody's looking for Dell, not about the hardware side. Really, they want to hear the AI story. What's Dell's AI story? And the expectation is Dell, like any other company that is even remotely tech-related, has got a strong AI story that they're expecting to start to see results in their earnings. So when we look at earnings today for Dell, I mean, again, like almost everything in this segment, I really, the story is going to be about what their AI tail is, and is it going to show some dividends? I'm skeptical. If I look at the numbers here, Dell is expected to deliver about $24.7 billion. 24.74 is the consensus estimate in terms of revenue, earning about $2.52 a share. So that's where they sit. I mean, where the numbers come out against that, of course, are going to dictate where this thing goes. And as always, and more importantly, what does their forward-looking guidance look like? I'm thinking in this market texture, it's going to be hard for them to project a very bullish forward-looking guidance, but you never know. I mean, I don't know what their pipeline looks like, so we could be pleasantly surprised. Dell, like most of the market today, it's got a big red candle. So we're sitting down about 5%, having lost about $6 worth of value over the course of the day today from where we closed yesterday. The start of the day looked good, though, right? We started a little higher. Looked like maybe Dell would buck the trend, but no, they definitely dropped. And if you look at where Dell's been over the course of this year, they really haven't moved all that much. I mean, net we're down, of course, from where we were at the beginning of January. But really, it was back in November, sort of the end of November, when really they had their peak, sitting at about $145, right? And then it's basically been some disappointing news ever since. So here we are, a quarter later, and this is Dell's chance to potentially make it back, or more likely, test the lows that we set back at the end of January, very first couple of days of February. So we'll see what happens. Jared can give you a little more detail. We want to do him next because he can actually tell us what the expected range is and see where that puts us.
Yeah, we'll go right to that. See what the expected range is for this Dell ticker today.
All right, excellent. So Dell sitting hopefully somewhere around the dead lows, so we can kind of estimate these numbers. But with a closing price on Dell assumed to be around 109, and with an expected move of approximately plus or minus 10, we're looking at Dell to be pretty easy to calculate as far as expected move high and low. For the high, we're looking at about 120, and obviously giving it a little bit of leeway with that 109 closing price. An expected move low of right at 100. So really easy numbers to kind of digest on this one. Not too much in the way of technical, I would say, consideration. If you look at where the expected move high and low is on maybe a larger time frame, the high sits right at the weekly pivot that was created last week. The low basically sits at year-to-date low, so they're essentially trying to predict any further downside on this stock. And I would say, like was mentioned previously, we saw Dell's peak back in April and May of last year. So there's been a lot of volatility in the overall pricing of Dell. One thing that's really noticeable here is there's kind of a critical support that keeps attempting to hold the price up. But there's some similarities to how we saw the downfall of AMD that I think are kind of reminiscent in this chart. And you can almost tell that AMD has kind of those same peaks and valleys that were created back in, I would say, mid-March of last year. A lot of attempts to hold those swing lows that were very obvious at the time. And then, of course, a couple of earning cycles later, here we are sitting at approximately 100. So it is kind of weird to see like the same technical signals on a stock like Dell, but I just wanted to maybe hearken to that, because if we were to fall lower on Dell, there could be some significant downside over the next couple months, just because of the way the posturing of this chart is, and of course the critical nature of this price. So, but for earnings, just a nice lofty plus or minus 10.
Yeah, well, not bad. Plus or minus 10 on Dell. We'll see. We'll see how this plays out. I'm looking forward to it because, again, so far it's been selling off pretty nicely. But without giving it too much credit, I mean, everything is selling off, right? I mean, so we're seeing that across the board. The next one we have on here, we haven't talked about much because we don't watch it often, Peter, is Rocket Lab, right? Once in a while, this thing comes up on our list, and it can be a lot of fun to trade. I think I traded probably once. Today they get their earnings, again selling off like everything else we've seen today. What's going on with these guys, and what can we expect out of them?
Yeah, now we have to keep in mind Rocket Labs is, earnings are largely irrelevant for Rocket Labs, just because they are, largely pre-revenue. I mean, when we look at what's happening here, they're expected to make about 130 million of revenue. 129.92 is the exact number, which is pretty anemic for a company of their size. They're expected to lose about 9 cents a share. But what's interesting is in the last day, Bleecker Street Research, which is one of these analyst firms that often like to put out these hit reports, has come out and said that Rocket Lab has materially misled investors about the likelihood that its Neutron rocket will launch in mid 2025. So they are putting a very strong statement out there. Interestingly, they've chosen to do it right before earnings, to say they are saying that their launch is going to be delayed and the stock is currently overvalued. So I got to believe that they're probably short if they're publishing that, and looking to capitalize on the downturn. We'll see how that affects the earnings. I mean, it's tough to tell if that's had an impact today, because it's down like the rest of the market. Maybe it would have been down anyways because of this report that came out last night. But again, tough to say. It's only down about 4%, so it's not like it's been taken to the cellar. In fact, it hasn't even breached the low that it made just 2 days ago. So yeah, Rocket Lab doesn't look all that bad today, and they could poke Bleecker Street in the eye if they have some good news of their own to announce at the earnings report. Because I said earnings for Rocket Lab, not really about their earnings. It's so small at this point. It's irrelevant. What everybody wants to know is where is their product and what's the likelihood they're going to hit the deadlines that they've publicized.
Yeah, agreed. Jad, we'll go to you to find out what the moves looks for Rocket Lab.
Sounds good. Yeah, so technicals on this one are kind of not dissimilar from some of the other names we're looking at. Some pretty critical channel breakdowns as far as what's more recently happening. This stock had seen quite a run up into some of the previous earnings announcement, and right into that, I would say post announcement, we saw pretty much a very tricky distribution phase. Typically rising channels are considered distributionary. I said that wrong. Distributionary at their peak. Yeah, distributionary. Yeah, it is. So outside of that, we do find ourselves low. We're obviously selling off of some of those channel breakdowns. There is potential to move back to what I consider to be the beginning of the move, and that's going to be somewhere closer to the $17 print. But our expected move is a little bit less significant. Right now, Rocket Lab is pricing about a $3 expected move. Not a heavy trader. That is one thing to consider. We're not talking, hundreds of thousands of contracts here. We're really just talking 63,000 calls, 40,000 puts today as far as trade is concerned. Not very heavy for a stock of this size. And more importantly, $3 for a $20 stock. That's actually a 15% move. So it's significant uncertainty, but it's not necessarily, I would say, breaching any of the key levels just because of how volatile the stock happens to be. So the upper expected move with that type of pricing is about 23.5. The lower expected move is approximately 18.5. And that, once again, is assuming we can close this market anywhere near 20. I kind of marked it closer to 20.5. So we could shift those maybe just to the whole numbers. 23 and 18 would be ideal. Like Dell, I was looking for maybe some higher OI or maybe some interest at different levels. 25 stands out. So there's definitely like a a slight lean to maybe a beat and a huge sort of price reversal. What's actually interesting too, and that'll be something for tomorrow, the strikes on the weekly option series, they don't go lower than 15. So if this had a significant drawdown and was below 15, it would actually be an unhedged short. And that's usually very powerful from a market making perspective. So there's a chance that this stock could actually do something kind of weird tomorrow, but we would need to see a huge breach of expected move. Otherwise, we'll stick with our numbers 23 ish, 23 if we close at 20 today, and then about 18 if we close at 20, moving those down.
Nice, man. Question. I got a question, Jared. And I think you kind of answered that just now, giving me the numbers for Rocket Lab. On a day like today, right, where things are selling off, the numbers that we're getting here, are they adjusting with the actual price? Like this stock is already down about $2 plus, right? Is that new price going to be adjusted, or is it like, hey, the value of this company, we're going to not consider some of the sell-off that has been happening today, or is it adjusting just to where the price is at the moment at the close?
It's usually good to get these expected moves right at the close. So just knowing where they happen to end the auction today is really helpful. I usually give it some sort of wiggle room because whole dollars tend to be kind of where they want to close it anyway. And oftentimes it's somewhere in between, the closing price might be 30 or 50 cents higher than maybe it was supposed to close at, but net, just because we're looking at rough implied volatility, it's already a bit of a speculative pricing. It's
Yep.
something that is uh, being implied by all the buyers and sellers of the session, and really up until earnings. So anyone who's using the option market to buy and sell contracts. So it's
Gotcha.
good to have the closing price. I usually just use what I know at the time, and 10 or 5
Yep.
minutes before the close is a good way to lock it in.
Got it, man. Makes perfect sense. Some stuff continues to sell off here, including Sound. So SoundHound is another one that we have on earnings today, Peter. And again, we watched this stock plenty of times, traded a bunch, has traded very well in the past. Like if you guys remember November, December, this stock traded very, very nice. It was on our list almost, I want to say almost every day. But since then, has been going sideways, not a whole lot. What can we expect out of this one today, and anything major going on with them in the last couple of weeks?
Oh, my 1 to 10 alarm just went off, so I'm looking for a
Nice.
trade here. AMD dipped below 100 and back up here. By the way, anybody following that, that's a big sort of milestone. But any event, we're talking to SoundHound. Looks, we're talking SoundHound AI Inc. I mean,
That's
they have
right.
gone as far as to put the AI right in the name, so we know what this play is all about, and that's what everybody expects, right? Revenues on SoundHound AI are fairly lofty. I mean, they've been up significantly year over year. That being said, they've actually had to call them off a little bit for the end of this fiscal year, having decreased their estimates slightly in this year, and then for next year, the estimates have slightly decreased. So we'll see. Like, I mean, look, this year they're on track to make something like around 85 million. Next year, the expectation is almost double that at 165 million. So, there's big growth prospects anticipated for SoundHound. This quarter will determine whether they're on track for that or not. Their expected earnings, I mean, they're still in a loss position. They're expected to lose about 11 cents a share in this quarter, to be about a 38-cent loss in 2024. So overall, it's it's still sucking money. This is a similar story on the revenue side, by the way, as to what we were talking about on Rocket Lab, right? Like they've even got less revenue. We're talking about a quarter of the revenue that Rocket Lab, and the only reason why Rocket Lab has so much revenue is because they're selling slots on their future rockets, right? This Neutron rocket. So, and those don't go cheap, by the way. It's about $50 to $55 million if you want to get a spot on the rocket. So, a lot more expensive than buying yourself a little 1 meter cubed space on a Elon rocket. So, anyways, we'll see how it does. They got to get the rocket in the sky, right, for Rocket Labs. But anyways, on SoundHound, the only expectation here is above expectation earnings, right? So basically, there's a number out there. The analysts, I promise you, even if they hit that number on the nose, this stock is going to drop. I'm very convinced of that. So they're going to have to beat the number to have any hope of going up from where they sit here. And like you see on the daily chart, they've been in a downturn for a little while. So actually, you know what? And Jared's got some very interesting information here on the expected move on this because, well, we'll see. We'll just say but for all intents and purposes, there's more opportunity to the top side than there is on the downside.
Yeah, I tend to agree on that one. Um, there's kind of two postures there. I will look at something that suggests the other approach, but our expected move for this one, just to kind of level set, it's about 1.6, not huge relative to size, but it is at least at this moment, it's about a $9.3 stock. So 1.6 really just throws it back to 11, and that's roughly where it was a couple days ago. Expected move low would be about 7.7. It's kind of hard to estimate that one without a real closing price, but somewhere in the 7.5 to 7.7 range. Not a huge price range because we've kind of been in these areas recently, so it doesn't look like it'll have a huge impact to the technicals. I will say, as far as where the contracts are located, a lot of trade is going on at 11 compared to maybe the downside traders. The put trade kind of tapers off a little bit, even though there is some size down there. I wouldn't say it's where the largest money is leaning on this one. So theoretically, they might move it up just due to the fact that the larger contracts are priced at 11, but that doesn't necessarily mean bullish. It just means a move up. Maybe it's a little low in its price compared to where the market wants to place it. Other than that, I don't have too much of a technical read on this one. It's basically been drawing down ever since some of the more recent parabolic highs that we've seen. A lot of people would consider this one back to sort of normal levels because there are some range levels down here as well, but really that doesn't offer us too much outside of what we have. So I would kind of take this one as maybe a little bit of a crapshoot towards 11 and then drawing down to 7.7. It might just become a stock that no one really pays attention to much anymore.
Yeah, 100%, guys. So you have it. Those are the three we'll be looking at as we are less than 6 minutes away from the market close here. We'll start seeing some reactions and we'll be looking out for these releases as they come out. As we wait for them, I'm just looking across the market, just seeing as we're saying in chat here, the humanity SPY continues to try to make a new low here. And there it is. Brand new low. That's the Brian thing. Yeah, it's just everything is sell. Everything's in the red. Like if we look at our watches today, AMD going 99, 98 there. We got NVIDIA down. NVIDIA big sell off. They're down 7.4. PLTR. I mean, everything on my list. Tesla. What is this? The 7th day in a row red now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it will be the 6th day in a row that's red. They're obviously struggling. I mean, everything just down. In chat, people are asking, what's the reason for it? I think and you kind of answered the majority. I think it's tariffs. I think it's the tariffs that are supposed to kick into effect according to Trump next week. So that's never good. People don't want to hear that. But that's part of it. But also, analysts are saying some market correction. So, what's your thoughts, guys, on this? We'll start with you, Pierre, then Jared. Are we doing a market correction? Is it tariff? Everything above? What do you guys think?
Yeah, look, I mean, I usually just go with the flow in these things, right? I don't try and predict where we're going because I don't know how deep this is going to go. It does. I mean, it's one of those things we got to be careful when everybody agrees on something. That's usually when they're all wrong. Everybody agreed AI was going to the moon, and look what happened. We sort of topped. Now everybody's agreeing. It seems like, oh yeah, the top was in, and we're headed back down again, which would tell me maybe that quickly, right? It only takes a few days, and we're going to turn around again. I don't know. I think it's just sort of a correction in that light. I mean, I don't think that the market is done and dead. That being said, I am concerned by the geopolitical pressures that are on both the AI space and the chip sector. We know that the chip sector has been supporting this market fairly significantly over the last little while, and I feel like there's going to be some pressure on that space, depending on what happens, right? I mean, it's all about relations between countries, and they've got to figure that out. So if it gets figured out or seems to be resolved, stabilized, favorable to the current production methodology and the way the world works today, then we should be fine, right? And the chips are free to perhaps increase again. If it looks like Taiwan might be under more pressure from the Chinese military, then you know what, we could see this thing, the chip sector sinking significantly. So AI, of course, is all dependent on how real and how effective are these tools coming out of China. DeepSeek was one of the first, but Alibaba's been talking a lot about their tools and what they're doing to mobilize it. So we'll have to just see what happens. I mean, it's all about, as I said, these big pressures out there that are going to push, I think, these sectors around. Well, it's about what people's perceptions are of the pressures, right? At the end of the day, not about what actually happens.
Yeah, yeah. Jai, what do you think?
I look at the technicals a lot more, and I often look for signs of, I would say, changes. There's been some distributionary signals that are kind of explained from a range perspective over the past couple of months. We've been trapped in this upper tier of pricing for so long as well. It really just puts a lot of energy into the market, usually the same prices transacting over and over. It puts a lot of the same traders and price activity in the same spot. So all it really requires is a break. And, as we start to maybe look towards the downside, I'm very much in the technical mindset of expansion lower and theoretically maybe starting something that's a bit more akin to a sell wave. So, anything that looks like a bearish trend from on high. Outside of that, I have some measured moves that have been hit on the SPY. I warned about that in Engineering the Markets 2 months ago. So, technicals do come home to roost eventually. So we'll see if there's some truth to that. And it's a lot of things kind of measured out from the pandemic lows along with the 2022 highs. So everything's looking nice and clean on my end. It's just we're feeling it today.
Yep, yep. I'm just gonna go ahead and blame Nvidia for not delivering grand slam earnings and picking up this entire market. So we all got different ideas, but yeah, no, I agree with you, Jared. It's madness right now, as we're seeing. All right, guys. A couple of seconds for the close here. We'll be on the lookout. Do we have a schedule, Peter? Do we know which one is first? So I can pull that one up. We got Dell, SoundHound, and Rocket Lab reporting. We'll be looking at it live and see how the reaction is today.
Yeah, so we've got 5-minute increments on these three today. Dell is first at 4:05, SoundHound next at 4:10, and Rocket Lab will follow at 4:15. So,
all right, awesome.
Oh, and there's the closing bell.
All right, ding, 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 ding.
Regular day just finished, and now we get into what we hope is some fun. So let's see what we get. All three of these ended at a low today, so they are just sitting down here. All right, what do we got first? What did I say? Dell.
Dell.
Okay.
Yeah, Dell's first. We'll be on the lookout for that one. Then you said SoundHound and then Rocket Lab. Just gonna put them.
And then Rocket Lab. Yeah.
Yeah, put them in that order here and see how things start to shake out. And with that, the SPY down 1.6, still shuffling around here after hours. Anything green? The only thing green today for me was Mara. Mara is green.
There's a
Still can't be right.
couple of odds and ends. We had a RTX, Visa made a new all-time high, and Triple M was one of the stronger S&P 100 stocks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you had to be kind of looking for the bulls today. They were hiding in different groups of stocks, but they weren't in tech, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. Dell, no movements right now as we wait. And market is rough. Yeah, Ox market is a little bit rough today. So we'll see tomorrow. Tomorrow should be fun after such a move like this. Usually the next day is pretty interesting. So looking forward to see how we end this week. Going into our Friday trading tomorrow morning. As we wait, guys, I want to take time to remind you we do have, and I'll do it again later as well, we do have a free webinar today at 5, right? So 5 p.m. Eastern time. Let me get this screenshot properly here. So 5 p.m. Eastern time today, we do have Mike. Mike is going to be doing a free webinar on tradingterminal.com. So that's at 5 p.m. today. Just go to tradingterminal.com. You click on webinars, and you get access to this. So again, you don't have to be a member. He's going to be talking about high-of-day breakouts with trading terminal scanners. So it should be very, very insightful. We'd love to see you guys there. So take advantage of that.
Go, Mike, go. That should be a good webinar. I know he was preparing for it and getting ready to go on that one. So should be a good session. We've got 3 minutes. Oh, you know what? I got to call up this news here. 1 sec.
Yeah, I'm going to get you guys the link over on YouTube as well for those that don't have it for Trading Terminal. Give me 1 second. I'll get that for you guys. Here we go. There it is.
All right.
There's two other names that were gonna crop up. Autodesk. It's very thin overnight, so we don't often look at it or trade it, but it had about a $19 expected move.
What's the ticker for that one?
Well,
ADSK.
Yeah, and their earnings just came out. They yes, their earnings just came out. Looks like they beat top and bottom line, not by much, but they did beat, and they had a good forecast for the next quarter, a little better than analyst expectations. So,
and then Monster Energy, so MNST at 405, but that'll be at the same time as Dell.
Monster Energy. Monsters, that is one of those weird companies that I've never figured out why they get so much volume. They're just, consistently doing 6-8 million shares a day. And, they
I didn't even know they were
split.
They were public. Usually one single drink is usually part of a bigger company, but I guess not this one.
MNST is actually one of the best performing investments over the past 20 years, at least at its peaks.
Really?
Okay.
Yep. It's comparable to like Netflix and a lot of those charts that show the performance of 20 years of stocks.
Yeah, so. It's not many that go that far back.
Yeah. But it beats a lot of the mega market caps by a mile.
Yeah. All right, guys. Waiting on Dell should be coming out now. There it is. Nice drop.
Straight down.
Ooh, $8 drop there.
Out to 100. Kind of hesitating a bit there, right at 100. And a turn.
Wow. Right. What? What a flip.
Yeah, well, now it's even. Let's see where it goes next.
The lack of volume is just scary if you're trading this. Got to be very careful. I mean, yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. It's all over, and it's very, very thin. That's a
Yeah.
$6 spread that just showed up.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Wow, wow, wow. But it looks like they're hesitating to fill at 100, so that typically can cause some pretty nasty turns. Maybe not sustained, but certainly something to monitor.
All right. Hanging out on the lower side of things here. I mean, right now it's really careful, guys. Really untradeable for what we like to see. So for me, it'll be a morning thing for sure. But man, it is what a wild drop and pop we just saw
Looks
there.
like they're starting to move it up, actually. There's some orders showing at 110 and above. So I'd actually be looking for this to move up. Let's see
Duolingo
what we
came
can
out
get.
with their
There it
numbers.
goes.
Just got a small position there at 108 some odd. Took some
Oh,
partial.
you're in on this one.
I did see the flip there. I'm not so
Mhm.
sure this is going to hold for very long, but I'm willing to
Yeah.
take a shot on that one.
Well, more volume is coming in, so that's good. That should allow it to
Mhm.
be a little bit more steady.
I think if we can get anywhere to like 115, that would be
Yeah.
okay. But the way the spread keeps interacting, I mean, we're jumping from $1 to almost $2 spreads at times, even with volume. So be very
Yeah,
careful
yeah.
with like your sizing in the near term.
You got your 115 order in place.
Yeah, I just need to keep an
You need
eye
a
on
pop.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can
Yeah,
put
it
an
is
order there, but
113.
if no one fills it for me, I can be in trouble.
Hopefully goes picks you up right here.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But we'll keep an eye out on that. So Rocket Lab is next. We'll let Dell kind of marinate here.
Yep.
Big sound.
SoundHound is next, I think.
Oh,
We're
yeah,
starting to
SoundHound.
see a little bit of movement now. Trying to go green. Actually went green and ooh, nice. Someone is long in chat in this? Who's long in chat? Is it a mental game? You're long, SoundHound?
I haven't actually seen Dell's numbers come out yet. Somebody knows them.
Yeah, you're right. Huh. Well then.
Somebody thinks they know them.
Hopefully they stay in line.
Hopefully they're right. Well, you've got a little bit of a buffer, Jared. You have enough time to
Yeah.
hit the button, anyways.
You say that.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, if the spread keeps
Jumping around.
staying, yeah, where it
Yeah.
is, that could be a problem.
Right now
if
it
you're,
feels.
so good.
Right now it feels like it's just moving up and up, but it's mostly looking for some sellers. So I don't mind scaling out into these small pops right here.
Here we go.
Yep, so
all right,
we're waiting for
Dell.
sound. Go ahead.
Dell's numbers are out. Looks like they missed on revenue, slightly under. Delivered 23.9 in revenue versus the 24.5 expected. Earnings, though, they actually beat, making $2.68 versus the expected number of $2.53 or $2.53. So yeah, it looks like they mixed picture here on Dell. I don't see what their forecast is. That's probably what's going to make the difference as to whether this is going to get movement or not. Do it for Jared. Come on, Dell.
Yeah, do it for Jared, man. Do the right thing. All right, SoundHound moving. I'm not sure if the numbers are out yet, but they're. Oh yeah, this should be. Here at 410
is up. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. Steady move here on SoundHound. Looking for about 11 on that one, so that's not too far away. We just gotta get 2 digits on the share price again. Nothing like seeing a stock go from like 2 digits to 1. It kind of puts it into a new category of should we even be looking at this anymore? But
yeah.
It does, doesn't it?
It just makes it a different type of stock.
Yeah.
Go Aaron. What is Aaron
That's
doing? Aaron in the chat room? Oh, he took a short on the drop. Wow, that's bold. All right.
On which one? Dell?
On
Dell.
Dell.
Yeah.
The initial move. Had to be quick
I
on
think
that.
I think Aaron maybe saw what I saw. They couldn't fill 100. They dropped it, but they couldn't fill it. So it's good to get out of those before they come back on you.
SoundHound pretty quiet, at least for right now. Not really continuing here. So still up right now, but not really getting any movement higher at the moment. So we'll see. Then in a few minutes we'll have Rocket Lab. See how that does. Go ahead, Peter.
Just seeing earnings on all sorts of different things, but nothing on SoundHound yet. Again, somebody thinks they know. It popped up. Their guidance, Dell's guidance, by the way, analyst expectation is about 103.7 million for their fiscal year 2026, so the upcoming year. They've guided somewhere between 101 to 105, so basically they've surrounded that estimate. Earnings per share, they are slightly above analyst expectations at $9.30 versus $9.23. So I guess that's okay. It's not blowing the doors off of it, but it's surrounding it in revenue and at least better than expected on earnings per share. But again, not by enough that I think anybody's going to be too excited. Dell's price seems to be reflecting that as they are just languishing here. SoundHound is still moving. At least it's double digits now, Jared.
Yeah.
It's 10.
Yeah, here we are. Back into the camp of 10, maybe.
Sorry. We spoke too soon.
Spoke too soon.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to go through. I don't know. The 11 calls were really interesting. So I kind of think more from a market making perspective, they're more likely to move it back to 11. And because it's down, it'll be like a bullish move to us. But it's not far enough away, and you'd have to really be kind of active on it to carry it through, especially overnight. So I have a feeling I'll look at this one tomorrow. It'll probably just be at 11. Whether it gets there this afternoon, we'll just see how the volume comes in. So far, so good though. They're pushing.
Yeah, it's trying. It's trying to keep steady.
Whoa, Black Betty.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Dell.
I was just gonna ask you, still in Dell here?
I've got a little bit left.
It's a good sign. Yeah,
I'm trying.
Holding.
It's hard to sit on profit and watch a sideways stock.
No, wait for that target. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Not easy.
But they are asking for higher prices right now. We just don't have a lot of volume. So I see 115. I see 114. I don't see bid, which is really good. They're not trying to move it down right now. So as long as that continues, I'm just hoping for some volume to get it to fill.
Wait.
That's just reading the good old level 2.
Is this the same? Wait a second.
Look at Sound Go. They are bringing it up there.
Yeah, Sound is rocking here now. Look at this.
See? Knowing the options
is.
helps. I'm telling you. You get edge.
It's
11.
going.
Not only the expected, but just knowing where the call buyers are. It's really powerful.
Yeah.
It's getting confused because RKT just reported, but that's Rocket Company, not Rocket Labs. Totally different.
Correct.
Anyways, still haven't seen the detail on SoundHound.
Oh, here goes Rocket Lab. Drop. So
dropping down.
$3
south. Expected move on that one.
Yep. And off to the races. Wow.
Actually, $3 with a close at 20. This should be closer to 17. I need to move this down. Actually, I moved it up on accident. So originally I put 17.5 because it was closer to 20.5, but given how low they closed it, 17 is more the expected. So we're hitting the expected move now. I also warned about the fact that there's like a huge gap up that started all of this, and if that breaks, then basically all of the price action above that level is going to be trapped. That can lead to a lot of selling, and the option market might actually break on this one if we go lower than 15. So this one's got a weird dynamic if it goes lower than that. I'm not
Yeah, I see.
expecting it, but it's just
Yeah. You are getting a little bit of a bounce here around that 17, 1650 area you mentioned. So
yeah,
see if it sticks.
it's a really deep drawdown though for this stock.
And I see SoundHound still staying above 10, so that's good. And your Dell just stuck at 112.40.
Yep.
That's good. We want it to be stuck there and go higher. We don't want it to do nothing else. No fancy moves, Dell. Just get Jared to 115 and we'll call it an evening.
That's right. No liquidations, no bid dropout, no nothing. Just get me to the orders.
Yeah. All right, so there you have it. So right now we have the three we were looking for. Dell, crazy reaction, man, on this candle here. It's just unreal. It went down to like 100, back to 1.8, and just flipped over to 111. That was wild. Right now, it's just steady at 112.40, and then SoundHound hit 1080, back down to 10. It's just kind of moving around here, and then Rocket Lab not feeling so hot right now, down all the way to 16.13. There's nothing rocket about this. This rocket is burning.
Crashed on the launch pad.
Yeah, this absolutely.
If the moon. If the moon is south, then we can shoot rockets that way. So as long as we're aiming down, the rockets can move lower.
This rocket is moving south.
What's south in space? I mean, really.
Yeah, exactly. Once you get to space, all those directions don't matter.
Right. All right. Well, yeah. I still haven't seen the actual numbers on either SoundHound or Rocket Lab, so. Fortunately, I've got nothing to report to you guys on that, but I'm sure they'll be out at some point. Somebody must know something. Clearly, they're behind in their news reporting. You need the old Bloomberg terminal, right, to see what's going on. It's usually the first. With all this data that our news feed systems pick it up a little bit later.
Yeah, Peter. I mean, sorry. Your sound is very choppy. Is your mic far away from you?
No, it wasn't. No. I moved it closer, but it wasn't that far.
100 times better. Yes.
Okay.
Better. Yeah. It's got really choppy for a second there, but you're good now. All right, so this rocket is doing a U-turn on Rocket Lab. Nice bounce off 1620, 1613. Heading back the other way.
Yeah, that's such an extreme price on that stock. It's not surprising to see it recover. It's tough though, because you're basically facing like the abyss at that point. So taking a trade on that's really hard.
The abyss. Yes, I like that.
We need to start talking about the abyss more often. A lot of stocks are on the abyss right now.
They're on the edge, are they?
Yeah. I mean that low is very obvious, and it's the lowest low of the previous earnings. So if we're just talking about what position is trying to be protected, it's whatever buyer stepped up on the previous earnings. They're gonna, try and keep it above their price, but it's hard to take it on the hit. You have to see a reaction, and you have to kind of assume it's not going to be as powerful the second time, so it might just bounce back. But yeah, we haven't really seen a good break the option market kind of stock. We had a couple of them a few years ago, car, GameStop occasionally, but there hasn't been a stock that can break the option chain recently, and I'm looking for those because they're really fun. And really what I mean is there's no more strikes. So at a certain point, if they're not offering contracts at any lower prices, then there's no way to hedge the downside. And that can usually lead to some really erratic price action. it's usually better if you break the call side because then the upside's infinite. But to the downside, we usually see like a lot of scrambling to maybe open new strikes and maybe move to a different option series. So you can get some weird behavior. It's nice for intraday.
Well, here we go.
Gotcha,
Finally,
gotcha. You got some data for
Rocket
us?
Labs.
Mhm.
Yeah, Rocket Labs numbers are finally out. It looks like let's see their actual quarter earned numbers. They were sales were 132 million versus 130 million. Again, doesn't matter, not really. Earnings per share right on target. They lost 10 cents, so I guess that's good. Really, what matters is their forecast. Their forecast is a little low. So for the Q1 of next year, analysts were hoping that they would be in the range of about 135 million. It looks like they're saying they're going to do 117 to 123. So well off the low end of that, which would explain why it dropped so heavily. There you go. Those are the numbers I got.
All right. SoundHound trying to bounce back, and Dell just hanging out. A bit of a drop there. 110.53.
The only stock that really hit the expected was Rocket Lab. Sound got
Yeah.
pretty close, and Dell, I guess, also got really close, but it didn't hit them exactly. And when they hesitate like that, you're not sure if you can step in and get something out of it. So not so sure about the potential after that. But tomorrow's a new day, and as we saw with some of the maybe like post earnings volatility, Nvidia was a great stock to trade today. And
Oh yeah. Yep.
even though we
Yep.
got nothing on it last night, it moved, hell in a handbasket today. So it was great. So you
Yeah.
never
Yep.
really know. Sometimes it's overnight, sometimes it's the next day.
Yeah. Or after their call, we saw that with AMD last time. It was
True,
wild.
true.
So speaking of AMD, let's take a look. How's AMD? Do we end up? Yeah, we ended up at a
Right at
Pretty
100.
much right
104,
right at
109.
100. Like,
Yeah, we're at
Mm.
100 flat. So yeah, yeah. We'll we'll keep watching how that makes out. Um, all right, guys, we're set here. I mean, this should be fun tomorrow. I think all of these I'll probably watch. Let's see which one gets all the action tomorrow. Um, but SoundHound looks the most interesting, man. If they can keep going here towards 11, they're trying. They're the ones that's moving the most right now, and we'll love to see how this ends
Mm.
later today. But they're really trying to push higher. You can see it's struggling to get going. And then Rocket Lab, of course, heading back towards that low you spoke about here, and yeah, that should be good as well. So I think they'll all be good tomorrow.
Yeah. And even the ones that we mentioned as like maybe like tertiary options,
Yep.
um, ADSK and MNST, so Autodesk and Monster, they're not great movers overnight because they don't get volume. So it's one of the main reasons we don't look at them as much. You can watch their price action and you can assume, maybe you'll get some movement, but it's really hard to manage any sort of short-term position without volume because it's hard
Yeah.
to get filled and really no one's here to trade them. So even though these aren't necessarily big, or I wouldn't say these are big volume events, tomorrow, the session after the earnings, there could be some activity. So it's still good to have them. I like MNST. It's not bad intraday. I've traded it once or twice. Autodesk, I don't know. At those price ranges, it's a little thin, even intraday. So you kind of have to be picky on that one. But at least there's some other options out there that aren't the ones we just looked at. And sometimes you have to do this, especially towards the end of earnings season, because we're kind of rounding out most of the earnings over the next few weeks.
Yep. Agreed. And tomorrow overall, it's gonna be wild, right? I mean, looking at how the spark is, the spark it, how the SPY sold off today. Right? The spark it, that was like the SPY and the
The
market
spark it.
combined. The spark it. So I'm making new words up here,
Someone needs to
guys.
spark it.
Exactly. Somebody to spark the spark it. Yeah, but yeah, given how the SPY was today and just everything, man, it's going to be fun to see how we open up tomorrow, how some of these Magnificent Seven, Tesla is going to be reacting. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. You know, our 401ks are not happy, but we as day traders are very, very happy with what's been going on here. So, guys, over on YouTube, if you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up. Really appreciate it as we do these live streams. And I just want to remind you one more time, and I'm going to send you the link now too, about a webinar that's coming up in a few minutes here at 5. This is going to be a free webinar. You do not have to be a member. Just come over to tradingterminal.com. In 33 minutes, you're going to have Mike talking about half-day breakouts using trading terminal scanners. So he trades these quite a bit, and he's very, very good at these, man. So you're going to learn a ton here. Here's the breakdown of some of the stuff that he's going to be talking about. So definitely take a look at it. So yeah, other than that, we're looking pretty good here as far as the earnings goes. Jared, how's your trade doing? Let's see, Dell still hanging, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at flag behavior now, but I need someone to start moving it again. Otherwise, I'm gonna get bored.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But like always, earnings is usually, some reactionary trade and maybe a little bit of sentiment to change the price. But once the volume dies down, it's always good to look the next day and then just wait for the session. So we get what we get.
That's what I tell my kids. You get what you get. You don't get upset. It's just like that. It seems to work sometimes. All right, friends. Guys, have an amazing evening. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 a.m. Engineering the Markets with Jared for our members in chat. And then follow by Peter and I at 8:30 pre-market and straight to live trading. So looking forward to see how things will end up, guys. Jared, thank you. And Peter, always thank you as well. You guys have a great evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Have a good one.
as well. Later, everybody.
Later, guys.